Buddhism began in ancient India almost 2,600 years ago. And it was through the endeavors of one human being, namely Gautama the Buddha, that Buddhism came about. It was his great adventure, in fact, to seek enlightenment.
Enlightenment, or Nirvana, a state of eternal bliss and perfect peace, is the goal of over 300 million people in the world today that follow Buddhism. Its founder, Siddhartha Gautama, was an ordinary mortal, commonly referred to as the Buddha. Contrary to some belief, the Buddha is not considered a god or a divine being.
Buddha is a title, it is not a name, contrary to what a lot of people think. Buddha is the enlightened one. Siddhartha Gautama was born in India, which is now present-day Nepal, into a very wealthy family.
Many wise men attended the ceremony after the birth, and the last one to arrive said, "This boy, this child, will either be a world monarch or he will be the greatest teacher ever." So, of course, the king wanted him to be the monarch. So he said, "Well, what do I do to make sure he's going to be the king?" And said, "Well, the only way is to prevent him seeing the world."
And his father then sheltered him from the sights of the world and kept him in different castles, not exposing him to misery. So it was on one occasion that he set forth from the palace to try and discover from himself what constitutes the earth. And there he saw these four sights. One was of an old man, the other was of a sick man. He saw a person who had died, and there was a sage, a man, a spiritual person who looked very happy.
And every time he questioned his attendant, asking him what was that all about, because it was totally alien, very strange to him.
All of us have to go through these changes, and all of us eventually do become sick, or we eventually die. So he realized that there was suffering in the world and that none of us can ever escape from suffering. He sought the answer in an end to all suffering. How do we end the suffering?
This was the first really important moment of the prince, where he formulated this intention really to devote his life to the welfare of all beings by finding out what causes suffering and then try and find out the solution. So he left the palace and he went into a forest where he met some ascetics who were meditating. And he joined them and he took instruction from them and he started meditating. And that was a period where he practiced extreme asceticism. Became very, very thin and nearly died.
He reckoned that he had lived 29 years of extreme comfort and luxury, which had not given him a solution to his problem or his experience of life, that perhaps if he did the exact opposite, experienced extreme discomfort, extreme pain and suffering, that perhaps then he would become content with life.
Unfortunately, he did not find satisfaction in any of the schools, and he gave up asceticism and decided to sit and achieve enlightenment.
Using kusa grass as a mat, the Buddha sat under a peepal tree, known as the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing never to arise until he had found the truth. After many days of meditating at the age of 35, he attained the enlightenment he sought.
And then the prince entered into his final stage of meditation, and he went into what was the bliss of unshakable confidence, where his mind became so clear and so absolutely stable and firm that nothing could shake it. And in that state of tremendously deep, focused meditation, he cut through the last veils of illusion and realized his true nature, the Buddha nature, which he realized is the true nature of all beings.
The extreme practice of asceticism in a cave